This is the 10-minute brief, and what you're about to hear might change how you see everything. After 2 years of war, after over 67,000 dead, after unthinkable trauma on both sides, a sudden, shocking silence, a ceasefire. For the first time in 24 months, the guns in Gaza have fallen quiet. But this isn't just a pause in the fighting. It's a fragile, hard-won agreement. It's brokered in the shadow of immense human suffering, and it could redefine the future of the Middle East. How did this moment come to be? And can a deal born from so much pain actually lead to a lasting peace? Subscribe to the 10-minute brief and never look at war the same way again. The announcement came from U.S. President Donald Trump, who declared a momentous breakthrough. The first phase of the deal was signed in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, after a diplomatic squeeze involving American envoys, Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. The mechanics of the deal are precise, a tense choreography of mutual obligation. Once the Israeli cabinet approved the agreement, a 24-hour countdown began. Israeli forces started pulling back to an agreed-upon line inside Gaza. Then a 72-hour window opened. In that time, Hamas is to release the remaining Israeli hostages, all of them. 20 are believed to be alive, many of them Israeli soldiers. The rest are the bodies of those who died in captivity. In return, Israel will release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. President Trump stated the hostages would be released on Monday or Tuesday, calling it a day of joy. But behind the political mechanics lies the raw human reality. In Tel Aviv's Hostages Square, the news was met with a wave of relief so powerful it felt like a physical unraveling. Families who have campaigned for 2 years cried, celebrated, and called Trump directly to thank him. Rodham Cooper, whose father was killed in captivity, voiced what many felt, that this deal happened not because of the Israeli government, but in spite of it. And in Gaza, the reaction was complicated. In Deir el-Balah, people gathered outside their tents. Speaking of a cautious relief, there was dancing in the streets of Khan Younis, singing and the waving of Palestinian flags. But for every moment of joy, there was a sharp, painful reminder of the cost. One man, Abu Ahmad Eid, who lost 150 members of his extended family, asked a heartbreaking question. What exactly should I be happy for with all the blood that's been shed? Another, Humam al-Haddab, described a feeling of joy mixed with great pain, knowing that the end of the killing marks the start of another. War, the war of reconstruction, of returning to utterly destroyed homes, of rebuilding shattered lives. This is the true weight of this ceasefire. It's not just a political agreement. It's a desperate collective gasp for air. So, what are the guarantees that this time the peace will hold? This is where the story gets even more complex. The first phase is just that, a first step. The real challenges are still to be negotiated. The complete disarmament of Hamas, a new governing body for Gaza, and the long-term security and political future of the region. A senior Hamas official has stated that the agreement guarantees the war will not return. But Israeli officials and Palestinian diplomats alike express deep distrust. They question whether Prime Minister Netanyahu is truly committed to ending the war or simply maneuvering for a loophole. The U.S. pressure, particularly from President Trump, is seen as the essential ingredient to forcing this deal through and potentially navigating the treacherous road ahead. This human need to make meaning from chaos, to tell the story of war, is as old as conflict itself. From the ancient epics of Gilgamesh to the TikTok videos from modern battlefields, we use stories to process trauma, to forge identity, and to shape memory. In this digital age, the power to tell these stories has been democratized. Soldiers upload helmet cam footage, civilians document bombings on smartphones, and governments wage information wars online. The narrative is no longer controlled by a single authority. The ceasefire in Gaza is the latest chapter in this ancient human practice. It is a story being written by politicians in negotiation rooms, by soldiers pulling back from front lines, and by families in tents and squares who just want their loved ones back. It's a story of a glimmer of relief after 2 years of darkness. The question now is, what story will be written next? Thanks for watching the 10-Minute Brief, where history isn't just told, it's felt.